Get all busy that.
Good afternoon. My name is Monty Henry, owner of DPLSurve Equipment, and
And
you
Miss
are.
Carolyn.
And we're doing another meetup. You guys, this particular session focuses on uh, anti-terrorism and active shooter preparedness. Last week we covered as much as possible on
Cybersecurity.
cybersecurity. Do you want to briefly summarize anything about last week's session, Carolyn, before we go on?
Basically, it was about cybersecurity. October is actually the month of cybersecurity awareness. So it's cybersecurity awareness month this month. And each week there's a different topic. The first week was Stop, Think, and Connect. The second week was from the break room to the boardroom. And we covered cybersecurity and any questions people may have.
Okay, so what we're doing, you guys, we're making the replays available on Nextdoor, and we'll try to publicize them as much as possible in other places on the internet, so that where you guys are too busy, you can go back and take your time. And we have a member is joining us right now. Your name is
Betty.
Okay, Betty. What brings you to take an interest in some of the topics like cybersecurity, anti-terrorism, preparedness, and active shooter? If you don't mind me asking.
Well, no, not at all. I think that it's important to be aware of what's going on, and I'm not as knowledgeable as you are.
That's fine.
And so I came to get information from you.
Yeah, we're all learning actually, Betty, and anyone else joining us out there, particularly you guys on Facebook Live. What we're doing is we're trying to have a dialogue. We're exchanging information. We're finding out what are some of the best practices, if you will, for civilians and professionals, and that includes law enforcement as well. Right, Carolyn?
Oh, yes.
So you guys, we have a lot of different topics to cover. So we're going to get right into some of the things that are at the top of the list, okay? Now, we're going to do our best to work our way through as many items as possible, but just in case we don't, we typically like to have show notes that we make available so you guys can do further research once you get back, just in case you miss certain things, or just in case we don't get a chance to cover certain things. Now, because of some of the latest incidents, this is particularly why we want to bring this to the attention, because see, a lot of times terrorists, they don't have a set agenda all the time. A lot of times they take advantage of the idea that they can randomly select targets, and it may mean targeting an area where there's a large number of people, and then again, maybe not. Maybe it'll be maybe a church or a synagogue. As we learned with the Florida incident, it could be a nightclub. And then in another situation, what are some of the other targets that they chose?
Actually, they're called pop-up because they pop up wherever they want to. Well, there's Paris, Beirut, Florida, going back to Sandy Hook, elementary schools.
Now, speaking of elementary schools, you guys, we need to really take into consideration that if elementary schools are going to be a target, then let's develop some sort of protocol that we can make available, if you will, to the faculty, the administrators who run the school systems. And then let's start with
the children.
The children, okay? For instance, right now, we have a situation, I think because it was actually in Paris, the Notre Dame Cathedral situation. The Notre Dame Cathedral involved school children, and believe it or not, that taught us a lot about these particular targets. There is no target that's off limits. So some of the things to keep in mind is, for instance, children 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, we don't really want to tell them that we're preparing them for a terrorist attack.
You want to make it like a game. Like, say, when I say this word, you go hide and pretend like nobody can find you.
What do you think about that, Betty, in terms of making children aware that there is an impending threat without making it too obvious. What are your feelings on that?
Well, I think it's imperative that our children nowadays are aware of what could happen. I think it's really hard for us to teach them that without scaring them.
At a certain age,
At all ages, for the
That's
young
true.
people. I feel so bad for them.
Even the adults get scared, even just
Right.
seeing these images on TV.
Right.
It promotes something inside, anxiety, paranoia,
Yeah.
can't sleep.
Now,
Believe it or not.
yeah, speaking of that, Carolyn, let's go ahead and transition into the mental, psychological effects of having to deal with terrorist warnings constantly telling us there's sleeper cells all around and such. How does that weigh on our psyche and our physical and emotional state, by the way?
Well, believe it or not, you don't think so, but it does. And some of the things you can do to counter that is like take yoga, exercise, get enough fresh air, drink some tea that calms you down, deep breathing exercises, stretching, anything that can relax you, because believe it or not, unconsciously it takes a toll on you. Even when you're sleeping, you could have nightmares, or you can't fall asleep because you're thinking about this. So,
Anything specific as far as things that you may have tried to relax you? Because I know a lot of times, see, what we like to do is we come home from work or whatever, we eat our dinner, then we turn on the news. We want to get caught up on the news. And what does the news show us?
Everything bad.
bad.
The news is showing us the drive-by shootings, the killings, the robberies, right?
Yeah.
So if that's the last thing we see, Betty, maybe you can chime in and help us with this. How does that? What do you think that's doing to you? Is that helping you if that's the last thing you see when you go to bed?
It's a big stress thing. I try not to watch the news.
Oh, okay.
All
Smart.
the time.
Right.
Especially before I go to bed.
That's a good point.
Because life is stressful as it is, and I don't need to be more stressed.
Exactly.
That's true, but some of these things, they trigger things like what we're doing.
I agree.
All these, like, we're trying to educate people on active shooters, elementary schools, and all this.
And I think that what you're doing is very good because
Thank you.
education is power.
I wish more people will
Yeah.
attend, but maybe as we do more
They
of the
will.
meetups.
Yeah.
Right. Now, so some of the specifics that, because we always want to give people something practical to take home, if you will. Now, if I were trying to relax in the evening because I want to get caught up on the news or something, I may not be aware of it, but I'm going to need some additional help, maybe relaxing and getting calm. Anything particular that you can suggest?
I have a good idea, massage.
I was just going to say that. I did that the other day.
Really?
I was so stressed.
Oh, you walk out there.
And so I went and I got a massage.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes I'll walk to the mailbox and back at night before I go to bed.
Yeah.
And, look at the sky, and it just kind of centers me a little bit more. Brings me back to reality and nature, and
Yeah.
I find that helps me.
And also going for nature walks.
Yes.
Hiking
Okay.
out in the open. Yes, that's another good idea.
Yeah.
Now, I've heard of things that are natural relaxers, if you will. Isn't there something called kava or
Oh, kava.
kava
There's
kava?
melatonin.
Melatonin, okay.
To help you sleep.
Right.
And
I
there's-
try to stay away from those.
Those are
Well, those are natural.
Yeah, but yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, you guys, each and every person is different, and one solution may not be ideal for the next person. But we're just going to throw that out there just in case.
Oh, I have another idea. White noise generators. Like before you go to sleep, you listen to the forest, the birds
Oh,
calming.
singing,
Oh, okay.
the
Yes.
ocean.
That's a good, yeah.
waterfalls.
That's a
It's
good
very
idea.
Peaceful.
Okay.
Very peaceful.
So we're relaxing, and the purpose is to hopefully get some of the adrenaline out of our systems. Because I think, again, as we embrace this new age where there's events that are impending all the time, all around us, anytime, we're on constant alert, and the adrenaline has a a physical,
Oh,
a
my
physiological effect on it. It makes the heart rate go
Yeah.
up, right?
Right, right.
So we want to get that heart rate down, and we want to see whether or not we can actually do some things to get back centered, right? So Betty talked about the going out and getting the fresh air, and I'm sorry, could you reiterate some of those?
Sure, and like Carolyn said, the deep breathing, I think, helps
Okay,
too.
deep breathing.
And just getting the fresh air at night. Because
At
it's
night,
getting
okay, that's,
crisper,
oh,
And
okay.
so it kind of rejuvenates your soul.
Oh, okay, there you
I
go.
mean, that, for me, it does.
Right, there you go. Well,
Right.
look, that's where we get these ideas from.
Yeah.
Because we don't have to be, hopefully, MIT graduates in order to get feedback from one
Yeah.
another and see
And
what
the
works for us.
adrenaline gives you like the fight and flight feeling.
Exactly.
Right, right.
So you're
right.
Right.
ready. I mean, yeah, you cannot rest in that way.
No, you need to calm.
Okay, so on both sides of the coin, we want to be prepared and we want to make sure that we're ready. So now what do we do, Carolyn? Can you think of anything? Let's lay out a scenario. There's some particular natural or man-made disaster or crisis, right? Now, I should be physically capable of helping myself so I can, and also helping others, right? So that does that mean that I should make sure that I'm in physical shape? I should do
Physical fit, yes.
maybe I should make sure that I'm able to walk for extended periods of time, carrying something maybe.
Carrying a backpack or carrying another person or maybe two children, something like that. You should be physically fit
I agree.
to help other people
Right.
instead of just yourself.
Okay, because I guess I'm assuming that we may have to deal with a situation, you guys, where maybe the children are not as capable of carrying things
Or someone is
if they have to,
injured,
or someone is
and
injured.
you want to bring them to safety.
Yeah.
Right. So we want to make sure, Betty, also that we can help out others
Right, right.
because we may be in a better situation ourselves, but if we can lend a hand until the emergency services gets there, right?
Right, right. And you, trust me, you always can't count on them because in an emergency situation,
Right.
Well, they're spread thin.
very thin.
They're going to be
very
spread
thin.
very
I
thin.
agree with you, yeah.
So
Very
we could
thin.
find ourselves volunteering, probably.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So you guys make sure that you're physically prepared because
Physical fit.
one day could very well lead into 2 or 3 or 4, and we want to make sure that if we have to do without all the niceties, that the water and food could be scarce. A number of things could very well be rationed and for extended period of time. So let's make sure that we treat these crises the same way we would, because believe it or not, anti-terrorist preparedness really has a lot in common with natural disaster preparedness.
Right.
What do you have in your emergency kit? When was the last time you checked it?
I try to keep mine circulating, actually.
Okay, that's good.
I'm very much aware.
That's
I
good.
have a granddaughter that needs medicine, so I know when she's here, I always have medicine for her.
Oh, okay.
I always,
Oh, really?
Always, always.
Okay.
In
Good
my
for you.
car, in my house,
Great.
in my purse, so I know that we're good for 30 days.
Okay, that's a good point. So let me make sure I understand this. Now, if I'm taking care of someone, or if I have any inkling that someone that I would have to take care of someone in the
Yes.
family, then I better find out beforehand whether or not I could actually get a hold of some of the things that they're going to need.
Yeah,
Right.
if they have medical issues, definitely.
And
Just
there are
like-
a lot of people that do.
Yeah, just like, for example, that also goes into your pets. When you,
Oh, okay.
you
Yes.
need, for your pets, you need to have food, at least for a few days, because they're gonna be meowing like our cat.
Really?
Meow, I want that food, and they know what time it is. So just like if someone has a medical issue, you need to have medications for your cat
Right.
and for your family members if they're residing with you.
Very
Okay.
important.
Okay, now let's move right along because we have a million items to cover,
Okay.
and we want you guys to get as many practical things as possible. New York has released an anti-terrorism app. We have a saying that we've come up with it's defined as see something, say something.
Right.
But I think New York has a different spin on it. What?
See something, send something, which means if you see something, you take a picture of it, you send it. Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Now, what they're doing, you guys, is if you see if there's a terrorism-related event near you, for instance, or something's going on, don't hesitate to use your phone. And we have apps, for instance, the see something, send something app. Again, as Carolyn talked about, allows you to take a picture, take a video, and send it to the emergency services, whether or not it's law enforcement or 911 or whatever the designated place is for you. It'll probably be part of the app in terms of its functionality.
Yeah, and then there's another one called Hero 911, where that goes straight to the emergency people, police, fire department.
So yeah, Hero 911. You guys write that down, Hero 911, and then see something, send something. And as you look for these anti-terrorist apps, make sure you get the one just in case it's more geared geographically for your particular areas. But this is what we're doing right now. We're finding that we even have apps for these particular situations.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I've never heard of them.
Right, well, that's fine. That's why we're here.
Good.
Yeah, we want to make sure that as we come across all of these different resources that we pass these things along.
Right.
Now, this other item talks about trucks being used as a weapon of mass destruction, as we learned in France. What do you think about that, Betty?
Words can't explain my expression in my sympathy to that country. And I just think that we just need to be. You don't want to be paranoid.
No, again.
But it does make you. I come back to the paranoia. It makes you paranoid.
Yeah, it does.
You know what? I was told that guy, a truck was sitting there. A police officer did go up and ask him. He said he's an ice cream truck.
Oh.
Yeah.
And they didn't even bother to go
Investigate.
No, they didn't even.
I think the sad thing is that when we were growing up, or at least when I was growing up, we could trust everybody.
Yeah, that's true.
And,
right.
And now you can't do that, and it's hard. It's a learning curve for people.
Exactly.
And you don't
Right.
want to be judgmental.
No.
Or anything, but it does happen that you do become more judgmental, unfortunately.
Sure. Now, let me just throw this out there, because me and Carolyn, you guys, we were actually sitting in one of our favorite restaurants. And now this particular restaurant had a certain section near the front of the restaurant that happened to be near a giant window, and the window just happened to be near the intersection of two main streets. And we learned, I think a week afterwards, that someone plowed right through the plate glass window, and where we would have been sitting normally, and did some major destruction. So let's keep in the back of our minds, you guys, where are we sitting in our favorite coffee shops and restaurants? What is, as Betty mentioned when we came in here, what is towards the back of us, and, versus what's in the front? And sometimes, unfortunately, we have to think about these things nowadays. Where are we sitting? When you go into your favorite restaurant or bar or coffee shop, where are you sitting? Can you see as much as possible? Are there very many blind spots?
Exits. You've got to know your exits too.
And where are your exits?
Yeah.
Don't hesitate to go to an exit prior to sitting down and seeing for yourself, how far do I have to walk? How many exits are there? If I can't get out of one, can I get out another one?
Like you're scoping the place.
Unfortunately.
It's sad.
But
right.
People don't think about these little things.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how many of you guys, we're going to move right along. I don't know how many of you guys do a lot of traveling, but some people travel more than others. And as an expert in the surveillance and security field, we take into consideration alerts and warnings. Do you have any idea what the difference is, Betty or Carolyn, what the difference between a travel alert and a travel warning is? Are they different, or would they be construed as the same? Any ideas?
They're different, but one is more, one's more important than the other.
Exactly. Which one?
The alert.
What about the
No,
alert?
the warning is
The
more
warning.
important.
Exactly.
Yeah, alert is just to make you aware of there might be something happening. Yeah.
Okay, now this is how the Department of, the U.S. Department of State defines the differences, you guys. The U.S. Department of State, DOS, issues a travel warning when it identifies a chronic and sustained threat to U.S. citizens in a given country. Sometimes it warns against all travel there. Sometimes it simply informs people of the risk. Travel alerts usually address problems of a finite duration, such as elections, public demonstrations, or hurricanes. The DOS also issues security messages and emergency messages depending upon the situation. To get updates for a particular trip, sign up for the DOS's Smart Traveler Enrollment Program, otherwise known as the STEP program. For further information, go to step.state.gov.
Okay. Yeah, wow.
So, yes, for you guys who do a lot of traveling, you're probably going to travel no matter what anyway, because a lot of times, I want to throw this out there. Sometimes what you hear on the news about a given country and what's going on in that country may or may not be an accurate portrayal. So let's not hunker down to the point where we don't want to leave the house, but at the same time, we don't want to be naive. So we want to consider the warnings and the alerts, but we want to enjoy ourselves and live our lives, right?
Right, yeah, that's so true. So sometimes it's hard to get there, but that's so true.
Exactly. Okay. This is a topic that a lot of you guys may think is kind of interesting. There's something called Shot Spotter. What is Shot Spotter, and why should that be construed as something that we need to pay attention to, Carolyn?
It's, let's see, I think Chicago just put this in. ShotSpotter, it was, a doctor actually came up with this idea. It's a
Right.
gunshot detection system where there's cameras way on top of buildings, and as soon as it hears someone shots fired, it hones in on that area.
Wow.
And a lot of crimes have been solved like the next day, because they show the person, they show a car, some sort of identification.
So you law enforcement people out there in the industry, if you're not implementing Shot Spotter in your particular area, jurisdiction, you may want to take a look at it. SST, Shot Spotter Technology Corporation, I think it's called. But if you Google Shot Spotter, you're definitely going to go to their website and you can talk to them about implementing Shot Spotter. It uses triangulation, as Carolyn pointed out, between the microphones that are covertly hidden and the cameras that are covertly hidden on buildings and rooftops, et cetera, et cetera. The bad guys won't have any idea that once you shoot the weapon, discharge that weapon, it's going to make a sound, a distinct sound, as far as the shot spotter is concerned, that's identified as a gunshot, and all the local law enforcement people will get a chance to get a dispatch notice letting them know that you are in the particular area where this particular shot occurred, and you can, because the cameras are going to point at directly where the gunshots came from, you'll have a very good idea where you need to go to first. So this is a revolutionary technology that, again, you law enforcement people, you want to talk to your commanders in chief, your buyers, et cetera, bring it up in your meeting so you can find out more about Shot Spotter.
Mm-hmm. And that's just in Chicago right now?
No, this has actually been implemented nationwide now. It originated over there.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, some company outfit in Silicon Valley, this doctor,
Wow.
they actually, perfected the technology, and now they're applying it in this area. I think so. I think it's going to help a lot.
Yeah, hopefully.
Now, there's a term, you're going to say something?
Also Louisiana.
Right.
Was putting, in this one certain area, there was a lot of crime. They put cameras up, and they put signs on everywhere. And that has reduced their crime.
Exactly.
Very good.
People used to bring in guns, knives, and
Now, that is actually a good segue into the next topic.
citizen surveillance.
Citizen surveillance. Now, believe it or not, you guys with your cameras and your smartphones, you are actually relied upon and contributing more than anyone could ever imagine. You guys are carrying around these smartphones and you got the cameras and you're already taking pictures. You're already taking videos. And a lot of times what happens, as we learned with the Boston Marathon, Once we get that imagery from the citizens and turn that over to the police, guess what happens? Now they get a chance to put together a very, very good depiction of who was there, where were people, you know, everything imaginable is when you put together all these snapshots and videos, right, Carolyn?
Yes.
What do you think about that, Betty?
I the amount of information they got from the normal citizens watching, contributing to a fun event, helped them put together all their information. As sad as it is.
Well, the police are outnumbered. There's more citizens than there are law enforcement, so it's basically in our hands.
Right. You have to be very proactive.
Yeah.
Right.
Very proactive now.
So you guys are being deputized by me and Carolyn officially as the spy and surveillance experts, because you already have the technology in your hands, and you could be very well called upon to assist. And I think they caught the one of the latest terrorist guys. What was the latest incident? The garbage can explosion scenario.
Okay.
What was that? I can't remember. The guy was caught on a doorstep, actually. And he put an explosive in a garbage bin, and some homeless people were rummaging through the garbage bin, and they found it, and then they turned it over to the police.
The restaurant owner actually found the suspect sleeping on his doorstep.
Right.
Oh my
So
God.
citizen surveillance and the things that we're doing goes a long way, okay? Now, speaking of citizen surveillance, Carolyn, let's see which one we want to go into. Let's see if we can tie this in together. Now, if I register my camera, I could actually register my camera as a business owner or as a resident
You should
with the
be
local law
able to,
enforcement,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now, what impact could that potentially have?
If you register it, then if something happens on your property,
Well, not even my property, right? Somewhere else, maybe.
I guess so. Yeah.
Well, if something's going on across the street,
Oh yeah, across the street also.
and my camera happens to be in that field of view, then they could very well be relying upon my surveillance camera for my business to get an idea of what happened over there, right?
Right, and that's happened several times
Right.
throughout our country here. It's happened in several states where if you have a business and you didn't catch it, but your
Exactly.
co-owner or the business next to you,
Right.
they have a camera too.
Exactly. So that's what's happening, you guys. And see, there's a few companies, believe it or not, crime reports. When you guys get a chance, I want you to go to crimereports.com. I think it's called crimereports.com. They have a camera registration program. And if you're a business owner or if you're a homeowner, you want to take advantage of seeing if you can register with them. And right now, crimereports.com has a very extensive list of police agencies. Local law enforcement agencies are encouraged to register with them so that information is fed back to the appropriate police departments and law enforcement agencies. And I'm looking at a list that's
let's
probably
see,
30, 40.
Santa Clara, Stafford, Fulton, Kent County, Santa Rosa, Rockport.
Right.
To name a few. It's from all the way from A to Z almost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, go to crimereports.com, and actually one of the initial companies that got into this space of registering cameras, as Carolyn pointed out, was actually Safe Cams 8. That's Safe, S-A-F-E, Cams, C-A-M-S, the number 8, is a public safety project of the French Quarter Management District, or the FQMD, in partnership with the New Orleans Police Department, the 8th District in New Orleans. And this individual actually pioneered the idea of registering those cameras. And now we have a nationwide effort for more and more of these companies to initiate this type of program. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Amazing. Some people don't, in our society, think that their freedoms are being taken away with the use of cameras.
Right.
But if you don't have anything to hide,
Exactly.
then I feel as though it's okay. I don't have anything to hide.
Right, I don't either.
No, I
And
think it's kind of difficult to hide things now.
I do too.
also, a good subject is this 19-year-old boy actually came up with the idea of having a gun that you need a fingerprint
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I heard
to
that.
operate.
Right.
I think that is a great idea. He's only 19 years old, and I really would like to see that.
Exactly.
That's interesting, because a gun won't be able to be fired unless appropriate.
Wow, very good.
fingerprint.
So get your money together and so let's see if we can invest in this guy's venture, because I think someone's going to do quite well probably. That thing takes off.
They will.
No, in South Korea, they have a unique and novel
It's called
approach.
Citizen paparazzi,
Oh,
where their citizens go around with a hidden, body-worn hidden camera, and they film people doing bad things,
wow.
and then they make money off that. They give the evidence to the police department and see who will buy it,
Very
and then they
interesting.
convict people.
Wow.
Now, believe it or not, Betty, some of these citizen paparazzi people who get the cameras, the body-worn cameras, they go out and they go to your local retailer, they go to schools, etc., and what's happening is
They're paid to snitch.
they're paid to snitch, right? And they're making what, $20,000 to $30,000 a year, because they go into, again, the schools and the stores and the health restaurants or whatever. They're looking for violations, typically, of some sort of laws or ordinances or something.
This one woman, she said first she felt bad doing it, but now she's like,
She's really
She's
gotten
in-
behind
yeah.
it, huh?
Exactly.
yeah, and she caught, one of her big ventures was catching people not paying their taxes.
Right.
I don't know how she did it, but
She did it.
Yeah.
Good for her.
So something to think about, you guys, in
Yeah.
terms of
citizen paparazzi.
citizen paparazzi, okay? And it's a new
Hey,
term.
That's good.
Now, Facebook has a different feature that they're offering, part of the things that are going on on Facebook's page. They call it safety check. What does that
Yeah.
mean, and why should that be
Well,
something
if
that we
you're
should
in-
be?
If you're in a country that has like an earthquake or some sort of disaster, it homes in on your phone and say that's the same state that you're having the problem in. It'll ask you automatically, are you okay, and send it out to all your friends. You'll say yes or no, send it out to all your friends and family, and they'll know if you're okay or not.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, it's called safety check.
Oh,
So when you guys are on Facebook posting pictures of your cats and your whatever else you put on there, make sure you look at the safety check feature, because when you're on your smartphone, as Kelly pointed out, and you just happen to be in a devastated area that's hit by a hurricane or tornado or something, and all your friends and relatives are asking, is he okay or she okay? Facebook is going to make sure that they distribute that information to your network on Facebook for you. And all you have to do is click on something stating that, yes, I'm okay, or I'm not okay. So so Facebook will prompt its users to answer that question. And once you answer that question, yes or no, everyone is going to either breathe a sigh of relief, or they're going to have to consider taking action and call you directly or something.
try to find you, huh?
Exactly. Send out the search crew, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's a lot of things we've covered so far.
Yeah, let's see if there's anything critical. How you doing on your time and your pace? You okay?
Okay, there was this one teacher in Paris that got everyone together, and it was called an intrusion alert, and they wanted to make people aware of could be possible an active shooter, which makes people on edge, but the more you educate them, the more they feel more comfortable.
Right.
Okay, so they can do scenarios. They've done scenarios in offices where they pretend the shooter's there and they have the office people, it's hide. There's three things.
First you hide. No. First you run.
Run, hide, fight.
Right.
So run
Okay.
if you hear something. Hide you can and fight if you can. Let's say you're all in a room,
Right.
and the shooter, you know, possibly pick up a fire extinguisher, a chair, or something. So when he opens the door, you just
Go
slam
for it.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, catch him off guard.
Right. Right.
Now I'm sorry.
Oh no.
Go ahead.
It's hard to think of that,
I know,
but I know
it
that
is.
you have to nowadays.
Exactly.
There will be some employees like, no, I'm staying right here. No, you take them with you because they're going to hold you back.
Right. Right.
Even though they don't hold you back, you force them to go with you and get outside if you can, and then call emergency.
Right. Right.
So yeah, some people don't know what to do.
Now one of the best resources for getting this information is probably going to be the Department of Homeland Security. They're actually putting out a lot of information
On active shooters.
on active shooter programs. So
Yeah.
don't hesitate to take those resources back again to your place of work, your schools, your libraries, wherever you think people are congregating, because again, those are potential places where we could have disruptions, and we want to make sure that we let people know. Again, as Caitlin pointed out, I want to hide first, and then I want to keep very quiet at the same time. I'm sorry, I want to run and hide and fight, because we
Fight
want to
back.
surprise
Yeah.
the active shooters, because they typically don't expect people to fight back, right?
Right.
Yeah, what we used to teach everyone is just hide and stay there. But sometimes that's not enough because the shooter can find you. So if you have to fight, then you fight. You all together get together and either barricade up against the door where he can't get in, or when he comes in, you just barrel him or something.
Yeah.
Now, what about the children? Because if they're 2 to 3 years old, 4 years old or something,
Make it like a game for them.
Yes.
and should I have instead of saying terrorism or something,
No,
should
there
I
should
tell
be,
them
yeah,
about a
something
key
else.
word, or maybe?
Like Donald Duck. If I say Donald Duck or Mickey Mouse or balloon or some
Then
word.
they go hide
Yeah, this is a game. Go hide. Find the best place you can hide where no one can find you.
and stay quiet as long as possible,
Yeah.
right? And then later on, maybe I'll have another keyword that I'll mention, and then that'll tell them to come out.
Come out, yeah.
Okay.
That's very good. Yeah.
So when I mention the second keyword, or maybe the principal or the
Yeah.
administrator, will mention that keyword, and
Safety for them.
okay. So
And
that's
this police department should also know, how to deal with these situations. Like I think last year we went to a meeting at City Hall, and we asked them, are you aware of active shooter programs? And here in Ventura, specifically,
Yeah.
they said no. So we're trying to get someone, maybe if there's enough people, for a police officer to come and present.
Yeah, in the future, just so you guys will know, we will definitely have some people. We're working with the civic engagement people at the local police department where we are,
You can ask Bob.
and we'll definitely get more and more of those people in here to give their perspective on some of the things that they're doing, and to help us out, get the word out in terms of what to do here. Now, I don't know if you remember, Carolyn, but there are some cartoonists who just happen to be Muslims, and they're making some really unique cartoons. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, they're trying to fight extreme recruitment. So they're basically, there was one skit where this guy was marrying like the fifth wife, and the people who were there were saying, this is not right, and so forth and so on. So basically, don't go along with the program. If it's wrong, it's wrong.
So I think, more specifically to add to what Carolyn was saying, I think in the tradition, the Orthodox Muslims, I think they typically believe you should have no more than 4 wives. And someone made the point that let's change that on our own. Let's make it so that we can have 5 wives. So he was misinterpreting or reinterpreting, right, the actual taking things out of context, out of convenience, right? I want to have 5 wives or 6 or something. So this created an uproar, right? Now, believe it or not, he was using their own tactics where extremists literally take certain parts out of the Quran and they say, okay, this is what we want to construe as what's supposed to be said or done, you know. And what happened was everybody made an uproar again out of having 5 wives. So when he told them, look, you guys, this is what we're doing with the extremist issues. We're not sticking to the true way that the Quran is read. We're editing it, we're changing it, and we really shouldn't do that. So let's make sure we understand this is no more right than what the extremists are doing. So believe it or not, Muhammad, I'll see if I can find his name, but the individual who was taking this novel approach, he actually is creating more and more cartoons where the Muslims are told, look, we have to do more ourselves to not be taken advantage of. And what he's trying to do, you guys, Muhammad is trying to reach the younger people because cartoons are typically geared towards younger people.
Right.
And so he's catching them early on and saying, look, we got to be careful in terms of how we interpret the Quran and such because we don't want to send out the wrong signal, especially to our young people. So I think that was a pretty novel way that he's approaching it. And this really lets us know also, you guys, that when we're reaching younger people, let's do what we can to make sure that the media that we're providing to our young people reflects some of the things that we can do to send the right signal.
Yeah.
Also, because if you reach the young people early on and make sure that they're not reached first by some of these other radical people with the wrong message, right? So if we reach them early on with the right message, maybe we'll get a chance to make.
And you can do that through strong family ties.
Exactly.
Getting involved as families.
Right.
Remember that you have a home and where you came from, and be grateful for your folks, your parents.
Yeah.
Exactly. So let's see here. I'm going to get this guy's name because I want to give him credit for.
I'm surprised it isn't in the beginning of the.
Yeah, I'll find it. I can't remember what I did with it. Let's see. So, okay, that has to do with the cartoonist approach to addressing that issue. And let's see, anything else pops up on the radar here? Okay, here it is.
Right, it's
Muhammad. My name is Muhammad. Where is it? Oh yeah, Muhammad. Amen. Okay. He runs a nonprofit 501c3 organization. It's properly registered, it looks like. So maybe you can work with Muhammad, distribute his YouTube videos along with your cat videos and such, right? And see if we can get the word out to the younger people and reach them early on. Now we have another issue going on, Carolyn. Looks like malls and theme parks and such are also they're having to beef up their security as well.
Malls and theme parks. Yeah, because it's too easy just to go in there and do whatever you want.
What do you think about that, Betty? Of all places, a theme park or a mall.
That's where crowds of people are.
Yeah, the majority in sports stadiums.
Sports stadiums.
Good point.
Stadiums, there are thousands of people at those places.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys, looks like there is no sacred ground, if you will, in terms of where there can't be a potential problem. We have to consider every particular place as somewhere where there could be a particular problem, like the Pulse nightclub
Very, very sad.
in Florida, in Orlando, Florida, right? So yeah, that's another situation. So it looks like we covered a number of different areas, and also let's also take a page out of the handbook. Of all places, China looks like they are actually educating people in public spaces. The billboards and the
are?
things that you
Okay.
see on the buses,
Oh,
the
yeah.
advertisements and different things that we see when we're out and about in public. What do you think, Betty? If there were billboard signs and different things that you could see that reminds you of be alert, see something, say something, how would you feel about that, by the way?
Again, some people think that their freedoms are taken away, but more is better in this case, and I think that our society has changed, and we're not going to live like we lived when we were kids. And accept it, go with it, and let's get to the 2016 era where some of our freedoms unfortunately have been taken away.
And that's unconscious. We see a
Yeah.
bus and we look at it every day.
Right.
And then eventually
It clicks.
it does.
It clicks. Yeah. Yeah. More is better.
I don't
at
see
this.
anything. I've never seen one of those billboards yet here.
No, not here.
So there you go. There you go, you guys. Beijing. I think President Yao Yingping, his campaign is in full force, and he's using everything again to reach the young people
That's a great idea.
and the public in those spaces where you're going to see posters, you're going to see billboards, you're going to see cartoon stories, and it's going to remind the people of China, the young people, old people, whatever, look, we got a problem. So be aware, be on the lookout. And instead of seeing with Kim Kardashian or
Pitbull or
Pitbull or something, maybe you'll see be diligent or be aware or
Be on the lookout.
be on the lookout.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
see
I
something,
mean,
send something. or
yeah,
say something,
exactly.
Say something.
right.
Get those slogans out, and then
Slogan, right. Yeah.
it'll just imprint in our minds.
There you go.
And then we'll just do it automatically.
And people see something, say something. What does that mean? And then they'll go home or whatever, and they'll.
So maybe
what it really means.
maybe we'll send something to Brad Pitt,
Yeah.
and we'll get him to say something. Say something intelligent. Some of those people, maybe they can say something, right? That would make an impression if you saw
Yeah, an actor, really.
an actor
Endorse
Right.
it.
endorse it.
They're too
How about
busy, though.
Oprah?
Yeah,
Everyone
sure,
listens to Oprah.
right. So that's where we are.
Yeah.
We want to move into the public spaces, and we want to take advantage because we're bombarded with advertising every day.
Right.
Yeah, the
And-
wrong kind of advertising.
Right. So maybe we can sacrifice a little bit in those areas, and
Instead of maybe the Viagra, we could do more of safety,
Yeah.
personal awareness,
Yeah.
personal security.
yes,
Than
exactly.
the Viagra.
Yeah, yeah, right. Are you
Betty's going to be our spokesperson
Yeah.
now.
right? She's already coming up with different slogans already.
Yeah, tell your friends about this. Maybe next meetup they'll want to join.
That'd be good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting subject. Some things you don't even really think about.
No, you don't. And again, I think you just have to keep reiterating. because
Exactly.
It's our way of life now.
It's a way of life.
It's a way of life.
Right.
It's a lifestyle. And it's not one that you chose.
No.
It's one that's been assigned through bad behavior.
Now, we're coming down to the final minutes. We just want to throw in just a few more apps, just in case. And for emergency's sake, and we have medical emergencies, I think that we have something called Open Red Cross Shelters, I think, put out by the Red Cross.
I don't know if that's what it's called.
Well, let's see.
Oh, this shows you what, in case of a disaster, what shelters are open.
Yeah.
What's the name of that app?
Open.
Open Red Cross Shelters.
I don't know, but look up, okay, American Red Cross Shelter. I have to take a look at specific what the name is, but
Oh, by address of disaster emergency shelters that are open to provide assistance across the United States. So you go to this app and you put in your location and it'll tell you which shelter is open.
right. So yeah, when you have an emergency, you may want to know exactly what shelters are closest to you, so that you can go there as quickly as possible.
I remember I was in the 1994 earthquake.
Yes.
I was in Van Nuys and I was by myself because my husband and kids had gone up north. And luckily I was sleeping in the living room because if I would have been in the bedroom, our fish tank fell over,
Oh my
which
gosh.
right when I came out of
Oh
the
my
door.
gosh.
So for some reason, God told me to sleep in the living room. And then I went outside with the dogs. I didn't want to be in the house. And I went to stay at a neighbor's house for the next day or two until my husband came.
Wow.
So that was very scary.
It is very scary, yeah.
And for some reason, this house I went to, this neighbor, their phone was working.
Oh my
And
God.
I just couldn't believe it. It was like things were just going, the way they should be. And I called my husband. I was able to get a hold of him, and he flew down.
Wow. Wow.
That was amazing.
It's scary, yeah.
Okay, so the federal government has a mobile apps directory, you guys. When you go to usa.gov /mobile-apps, to be more specific, you're going to see a directory of a whole bunch of different apps. And in emergency, it'd probably be good to have these apps, I guess, in a certain directory or folder on your phone. For those of you who can let go of the smartphones, put these in a directory. And the AQMD has an air quality app. I guess whatever reason, if the air becomes so polluted with something, and you want to know which way the winds are blowing or something, maybe this particular app will help give you an idea of where the air is a little bit safer, I guess. But there's all sorts of apps here. Drug information. If you're trying to take care of someone and there's drugs or the effects of drugs going on and you want to get some idea. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. It's getting a little bit, I think we give you guys enough information. In the show notes, we'll put as much of this as possible so that you can go back and refer to it at the same time. If you have any questions, just give us a call.
Okay.
And
if you have
and
any
we'll
questions,
direct you
I'll
to
give
the
a
right
business
places.
card. Okay.
So as we say at the conclusion, you want to say any departing words, Betty, by the way, before we close out?
Be aware, when you always can't count on your local governments to help you out in a disaster, and you've got to be prepared. Not
You hear that?
paranoid, yeah, but be prepared.
And what about you? Any closing words, Carolyn?
Yeah, just be aware. Keep thinking of new ways. And we're going to sign off.
Okay, so as we say at the conclusion, share this with a friend, a relative, an enemy, associate, anyone. We don't care. Just share it with someone. And let's get the word out that we want to make the internet, we want to make the world a safer place for all of us, right?
Yes, exactly.
So you guys take care, and we appreciate you guys joining us in this particular session. Take care. Bye.